Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Power of a Growth Mindset. On the show today, we have my brother, Mr. James O'Neill. James O'Neill is a teacher at Piedmont Middle School in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he will be able to share a little bit more about his experience as a teacher. But not only is he a teacher, but he has receipts. He's a national board certified teacher. And for those who don't know that or know what being nationally board certified means, it basically means it's like one of the highest levels of teaching in a sense. And being that, North Carolina don't pay for masters. So my man out here getting paid for it, being nationally board certified. So he's nationally certified to teach it basically anywhere in North Carolina or within the nation, I do believe. And so my man is out here with the receipts, like I said, and he has won the Presidential Award and many other awards. He's the founder and CEO of Mastery for All LLC, which we'll also talk about again today on our show. So James, welcome to our show. We are excited to have you today. And I just want to say welcome, man.
I appreciate it, brother. Jess, I'm a finalist for the Presidential Award.
Oh,
You
okay.
speaking into the
Okay.
future.
Okay.
They haven't released that yet, but yeah, I'll be the awardee. So, all right.
Okay. Cool. All right, Mr. Finalist. Hey, that's still receipts, man.
That
That's
is a
still
receipt,
receipts.
sir.
Yeah. So, James, welcome to our show, man. As I like to begin our show with just a mental health check-in. Oftentimes Black men, we don't get the opportunity to just check in with one another and just ask how we're feeling. And I just want to check in, man. Just be completely transparent, be honest with us, and let's catch a vibe, and let's go from there, man. So how's everything going with you?
Well, sir, you said be honest, and it's the holiday season. It's been a lot. And it's Thanksgiving and the kids I'm still in the classroom, and so they showing their colors. And I'm literally going to New Orleans tomorrow. So I'm checking out Thursday and Friday, celebrate my birthday because we need a break from each other. I need a break from them.
Yes,
And
sir.
I'll be up on the up and up. Come Monday, I'll be refreshed, rejuvenated. We took a little break, had a little fun, ate a little food, so I'm be doing better. But it is the holiday season. It's the time of the hustle and bustle, and I'm feeling it for real, for real.
Hey, man, that's
Yes,
what's up,
sir.
bro. That's what's up. So New Orleans, what's in New Orleans?
So I've never been. It's funny, a trip got canceled. It was supposed to be a bachelor trip for one of my friends, and people didn't have their funds right, so we had to cancel the trip. But you know how that goes. Sometimes you plan
Yeah.
something, it doesn't work out. But anyway, I've never been, and so I said I'm gonna take that trip there. So all I know, food is there. Food is waiting for me, and it's gonna be colder than I would like it to be. So there are some things I was wanting to do outside, but I don't get along with the cold, man. So,
Mhm.
but
Mm-hmm.
enjoying the good food.
Right,
Hey,
right,
right
right.
now, I was born in Louisiana, and we've been to New Orleans quite a few times. If you never had beignets, make sure you make that stop, man, because the food is to die for. It's an experience. So make sure to check that out. I believe it's Cafe Du Moines. Mike, have you been? I'm not sure if you have, but I know that's the main spot where a lot of folks go to.
I haven't been, but you out here tomorrow. It's to die for. Ain't too much out here to die for. So I may have to check
Oh,
this out.
it's a wrap now. I definitely want to go there now.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, awesome. So, James, we want to start this off by hearing a little bit more about your story. I know Mike and I have read up on it. I know Mike is also very familiar with who you are. But we always love to hear the inspiration, where you started, what got you started, and what you're doing. So, if you don't mind popping off for us and letting us know how you began your journey, what inspired you to go along this path.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm a math teacher. Been a math teacher for 15 years in the
Pause.
classroom.
Pause. We are not going to allow you to just say, I am a math teacher. You are the math teacher. Come on,
That's
man.
facts.
Come on,
That's
man. You out
facts.
here with major receipts, and you are a Black
Oh,
male teacher teaching mathematics, which is very rare. It's only 2% of us in education. So you are not going to play it small today on this show. No, sir.
Okay, well, I am the math teacher.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, that came about because, well, part of my story, I've always, as a little boy, loved learning. My mom used to tell me all the time. I used to be in somewhere in a corner reading a book, just education. I just love learning, and so I remember being in middle school, and I used to see the gifted kids that would leave the classroom, literally, and go off and do their gifted stuff. And I used to be sitting in the classroom, like wondering why aren't they pulling me out of the classroom? My grades are just as good as theirs. My scores are just as great as theirs. And so it wasn't until I got in the eighth grade where my teacher, Mrs. Simmons, I talk about this all the time. Anytime I, talk about keynote or do anything like that. But Mrs. Simmons gave me a placement test. Me and my best friend Chester, who happened to be another Black male that was performing just as high as every other student in that class, and it placed us into Algebra 1. And so it was the first time I really felt like someone in education recognized my brilliance and love for education. And she put me in the Algebra 1 class, and it changed my life. And I'm from a very small town. And so her placing me into this class actually changed the course, literally the course of my life. So after Algebra 1 was geometry, which was geometry honors. And so my school was really small. And so there was only one chance to get on this honors and college career ready track. And so as she had ignored me, like the rest of the teachers, I felt like this was like, oh, whatever. I would have never been able to stay on track with those students that was able to take those honors and AP courses. And so a lot of my passion came from there, and that one teacher's decision to change my life. And that's what I do. That's what I dedicate my life to in the classroom, really recognizing the inequity, seeing Black boys for who they really are, the brilliance that they have, and pushing them like that teacher pushed me. And so that's where a lot of my passion and power comes from.
Yeah, I love it, man. You speak about a lot of things that I can relate to. I wonder if you can talk a little bit more about Black boy brilliance and what that looks like, because on our platform we have a lot of individuals who come from different walks of life, and I wonder if you can like elaborate on that and what that looks like in a Black boy.
Yeah, so it's my lived experience, literally sitting in a classroom and just love learning and just knowing now the expectation for me was not there. And so I literally walk into a classroom, and because of my lived experience, I know how to see that brilliance in my Black boys because I have expectations for all my students. I don't just have the expectations for the Asian, the white, the Hispanic. No, I have expectations for all. So I found myself looking and realizing that that student is in this class probably because of the behavior. Sometimes that student's in this class because of the fact that they wasn't motivated, or sometimes that student was in this class because they haven't had a Black male teacher stand in front of them and show them like this is what excellence in teaching and everything looks like. And so when I realized that, I move them. I'm just like, hey, let me have a conversation with you. Like, I'm taking you out of this math 8, the standard class, and I'll put you in math 1. Here's the expectation. Here's what I believe that you can do. I'm contacting your parents because parents are always with it. They're like,
Mhm.
oh, somebody recognized my boy as being brilliant. Yeah, move them. And I'm there to support them and make sure that they represent well. I'm all about representation, and I want them to understand like you may struggle, but understand I got your back. And so I see it because it's my lived experience, and I'm just trying to get in front of other teachers to let them know it's there, and you many times are just not aware of it because you're not
Mhm.
expecting it, And so that's a part of what I see with the Black boy brilliance.
Come on. Hey, I love that, man. I love that. It's really important for you. I'm not gonna say it's important for you to continue to do that work because you have the freedom to do whatever and with all, but it's
Mhm.
important that the work that you're doing that it continues to be highlighted. And I'm glad to know that you have where you are now and your experiences, you're going to continue to be able to encourage teachers to do their work, to be able to identify those students and be able to push them forward. Because honest to God, man, we need more Black males in the forefront. We need more Black males, as I was telling Gander, within the STEM field, but also being able to just master math and have a love for math. So I want to say I appreciate the work that you do, and I know us as educators, we don't get the props that we need, but just know I see you, I hear you, and I value is your position as a Black male, but also your position as a Black male educator.
I appreciate that, Michael. Appreciate it.
So looking at what you do within your business, and I know I'm not well, looking at what you do in your classroom, how does that impact and show up within your business? Where does Mastery for All come from, and how is that going for you at this particular point in your life?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Mastery for All is a part of that story the brief story I shared about the expectations for me as a little Black boy in middle school and going into high school. And so I believe that with great mastery teaching produces mastery students. And so I've seen that happen in my classroom as I've seen students grow, students that did not like math the year before, students that did not have mastery or good grades or great EOG, which is our state test scores. I've seen them grow. And so when I saw that I had the power to, first of all, change their belief system about math, because math is documented as the content course where it has the most anxiety, the most phobia, the most fear, the most fixed mindset. So when I saw myself changing their mind about math, I really looked and said, hey, if I can do this, then I should be able to get in front of other teachers and teach them how to recognize their own biases and
Mm,
also recognize what mastery teaching is, because we expect something from our students that sometimes we ourselves are not walking in when it comes
come on,
to a
somebody.
mastery instructor. Sometimes we expect them to get it, but we haven't asked ourselves, why don't they get it? And what
Mm,
do
mm.
I personally need to do to change to make sure that they can get it? Because I believe my students can. So it kind of translates into my business as well, because I've seen that students are able to do the work if we really believe and teach at the level where they can get it.
Hey, efficacy is real, man. Having that
Yes,
belief
sir.
that Pookie and Little Johnny and all them, they can get what you got, that what you got in you. But what you said is super important. Like, you got to know that, man. You got to address the reason as to why. And I appreciate you for sharing that. And I wonder, you speak about it a little bit, but I wonder if you could talk to us about your business a little bit more. What are some of your greatest achievements within your business, and how are you highlighting that now, as on how would you like to highlight that on our platform, but also within your social media platforms and stuff?
Okay, so greatest achievement in business has been just I get to I'm blessed to do what I love, even
Mm,
as a teacher. This is a call, I believe, a call of God on my life. It's a gift from Him to teach, and so I've been blessed to wake up every morning and not dread going to do something that I feel like I wasn't born to do. So,
mm,
as it translates into my business, I am blessed to get in front of other teachers and to convince them that they can teach at this level and their students can get it. And so I've been blessed to keynote. I've been blessed to work as a consultant. I've been blessed to just work with other nonprofits that line up with me when it comes to anti-racist education.
come
And I've
on.
been, blessed to one day next year walk away from teaching and walk into this full-time
Mm.
call of entrepreneurship through Mastery for All when it comes to keynote speaking and consulting and supporting teachers and districts when it comes to math education. It's the joy of mine, and it is a successful thing that my business has been doing. And because the world has made math so important, I know the work that I do is important.
Mm.
That's real. And as somebody who has, hearing you talk, especially on my journey with math, I come from a math background, and hearing your story, and for me, I'm always wishing, like, dang, I wish you were in my corner when I was going through school. But as you've talked a little bit about your business, not only have you seen a lot of success, but I'm actually curious, along this journey, what's been kind of like that aha moment for you? Like, it sounds like you are starting to make that transition to, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing 100%. I'm dedicating all of my resources, my time to this. But what was that moment for you along that journey where you're like, yep, it's time for me to take that walk of faith. This is what I'm going to be doing for my career.
So that aha moment was real when I realized, why my story is what it is. Because growing up, you just be like, man, why they not recognizing me, and what's wrong with me, and what's the deal? Like, I'm doing as great as they are, but you don't know the systems that are involved behind the expectation of you as a Black boy. You just know that you love learning and you love math, and like, I want to be with the people that's achieving. I want to be a high achiever. And so
Mm-hmm.
my aha moment has been the understanding of why I got my story, because my story empowers my teaching, it empowers my business. Like, being ignored in that classroom is empowering me to remind teachers why they shouldn't ignore students that look like me, why they should recognize me, and understand the actual struggle it is for me to now be in a place where I'm surrounded by nothing but whiteness, because I've shown up to so many spaces and been the only Black male, the only person of color, the only this. And so I realize now that that's my story, and that's what's empowering my business, and that's what's impacting the people that hear my story, because it now makes sense. Like, it doesn't feel good, you know what I'm saying, when you're going through the stuff, but the aha is like, oh, that's why I can speak to what I can speak to. Oh, that's why I can see that. Oh, that's why I can be like, nah, I can push that child, because I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. And so, yeah, that's the aha for me.
Mm. Yo, that's real, man. I want to highlight something that you said because for me, I want to take it back to the your previous response. You said that eventually, even leaving your full-time job and going into your business full time, you know, that's powerful, man, because for a lot of people that's not a norm. And so I just want to highlight that because and if you are comfortable, let's talk about that a little bit more, because a lot of people feel like they have to depend on that full-time sense of income, and they are they're working the dreams of someone else, and they're putting their dreams on hold. And you and I, we had this conversation several times. So
Mhm.
can you talk to us a little bit about that, if you feel comfortable and led by the spirit?
Michael, you about to get on a nerve now. So let me
uh,
sit. So you want me to be honest in this space. So I'm gonna
yes,
just
sir.
just
Come
put it
on,
out there,
man.
because it's like, on the real for real. Like, I met with my therapist yesterday, because
Come on,
I believe in
therapist.
therapy. I believe every
He a
all that.
black, hey, he
Yeah.
nationally board certified, got a
Yup.
business, about to be
Yup.
a millionaire, out here
Mm-hmm.
taking care of himself. Ladies, hit him up. Hit him
Oh, you're a mess, bro. You
up.
are a mess.
Yo.
But no, for real. Like, I met with him, and I'm just talking through like this in between time.
Mm,
And how, oh, Michael, you're pushing me, but because it's on me right now. So it's just like, I did not know how much of, I think it was the book. I can't think of it. Anyway, it'll come back to me. But I didn't know how much of the rat wheel I was on. The
mhm.
whole spinning, and not really getting anywhere. And this is not an indictment to anything in education. It is just where I'm at in my life. I have noticed that I have worked my behind off in a system that does not is not built to reward me.
Okay, come
And
on, somebody.
I'm just like, dude, 15 years. Like, taking home. You talked to me about this, like, you don't take no work home. Taking work home over the
You don't,
weekend,
man.
creating lesson plans, creating this, creating that, contacting parents. I mean, just when the doors close, my door is never closed, because I'm always doing something to be impactful in this space. And so, like, I realize all that energy has gone to, and it's good, because I see some of the kids write me back and say, thank you, Mr. O'Neill. Like, I've received some of those conversations back, where they'll send you an email out of the blue and just be like, I'm in a math class, you've been the best math teacher I ever had. That stuff touches me, right? And it's what I'm in here in this thing for. But at the same time, I've been hustling, working on the side, trying to live an abundant life and realizing that I'll never be able to get in abundance with what I'm doing right now. And so I just realized after, because you was in the space where I really felt led by God to be like, okay, this is the end. I knew this was gonna be my last year in the classroom, but I didn't know it was gonna be my last year literally teaching and not doing anything for anybody else. And so it's now like I see a freedom that I've never had before, never
Mm,
been able to experience or even dream about before, because I know I'm gonna go hard because I've gone hard with everything. But
yes.
now it's about going hard for what I've been born in the aha moment, bringing the aha moment, packaging in a way that it becomes impactful, but freedom for me. And so I'm stuck in this transition, bro. Like I've moved on in my spirit, but I'm still like in a place where I can't move on. And I have to, and I've said this before. I'm gonna shut up after this because I told you you hit a nerve with me, so I'm just talking. But I told myself, man, that I want to finish strong and leave right, no matter what I do. And so I'm finding myself literally saying, what am I able to do now? Because I'm not the same James I was 3 years ago. I do not have the capacity to carry everything that I did in this space in education. So what can I do in the classroom while building out my next? Because I can't ignore it anymore.
Right. Right. Wow, man. I feel liberated and
Mhm.
free listening to you.
It's empowering, man.
And I just, and you know my story and you know my plan as well. But
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate your one being vulnerable and sharing that, but two, just accepting the calling, the greater calling for your life. And I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that, James. It's wow, man. Like wow, wow, wow.
It's on me, man. So I said, you hit the nerve. So
Wow. So
let it happen.
hey, let's talk about you mentioned it earlier from your response. You talked about how Black boys need the attention. I wonder if you could speak a little bit on equitable instruction. You kind of talked about it a little bit, how working with teachers and ensuring that they have the tools that they need to be able to support not necessarily just Black boys, but all students. And so I wonder if you can talk to us a little bit more about how equitable instruction can help to dismantle oppression against Black boys specifically.
Yes, sir. So what I know, I had a student teacher this past year, and
And he a teacher
I,
leader.
yeah. So, and so with that student teacher, I noticed offhand the fresh, like clear blanket of how beliefs about what kids are able to do is developed in a person. And so my student teacher at the time was having trouble teaching the kids a concept. And this concept was parallel lines cut by a transversal and the type of angles that are formed from them. I know people just like, I don't know what you're
Oh,
talking about,
yeah.
but that's the that's the concept, right? So
Yeah, that went right above my head.
I'm just putting it out there for all the math teachers that may be listening. Okay. But I know that this concept is not hard for students because I have years of teaching it, thinking about it, breaking it down in my head, and presenting it in a way that students can get it. I believe that some of the greatest teaching happens when we can simplify the complex. And
Mm,
so I've done that work. I have years of doing that work, but I saw this teacher just struggle and say, well, they're just not getting it. And I don't know why. And I'm just like, this is how this belief is formed, right? You start fresh from the gate thinking it's the kids and never thinking, what can I do to change the way that I'm presenting this to the kids? Because I believe that they can get it.
mm,
This concept is not hard. And so for me, equitable instruction starts off with the belief system of the teacher that's standing in front of those kids. Because once you start believing that they are the issue and not your instruction, once you start believing that they are the issue and not the way you're presenting the lesson, you will never ask yourself, what can I do to
mm.
better this lesson? Because they become the issue.
Issue.
Something is wrong with them, something is wrong with their learning. And so for me, equitable instruction starts off with, I believe that they can. And my practice is, how can I get them to believe that they can? And what do I need to do within the lesson to make sure that they get it? And so to make a long story short, I finally asked her what they don't get. And she couldn't say that. She couldn't tell me what they don't understand. And I was like, that's what you need to find out. And once she figured out what they were not making connections with, they made the connection because she planned to go back the next day to correct it. And they ended up scoring well on their test moving forward. And so for me, the foundation of equitable instruction is a teacher belief system, because you will lead based on your belief system. You will instruct based on your belief system. You will plan based on that. And you can't be equitable if you don't understand that, first of all students can.
Yes, come on, man. Woo-hoo-hoo!
Uh-oh.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
He out here spitting right now.
Yo,
He out here
that's
spitting
a
right
word,
now.
man. That is a
Yup.
word. That is a word on so many levels. And for all my teachers out here, book Mr. James O'Neil for your next one keynote event
Book
at your
me.
school for your district. Also just to get into the room with him and be able to learn from him and his experiences and how he has helped move students, Black boys from F's. I think your data said from F's to what, B's and A's?
Yeah.
Come
Yep.
on, man. Hey,
Yes, sir.
we got some people that's been in education for 30, 40 years and they can't even do that. So, hey, hey, man. Hey, I
That's
appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing that, though.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and just actually to add on to that, because you just talked about how, the teacher actually has to do that self-reflection. But I'm also curious, what is that what is that like when you're trying to implement or get a teacher, a parent, or even a student who doesn't also want to take that step back and do that self-reflection? What's that process like for when you're trying to implement that as well? Because I know you have a model that you try to implement for grades 6 through 12. But what is it like when you have those types of roadblocks? Because at the end of the day, we're just trying to impact the students. But what's that experience like for you?
Yeah. So I and I'm learning that this story I have is unique to me. Okay. But I don't want to be an exception. Like this, I'm just like, nah, if that's the case, then we'll never have an equitable instruction. We keep, making certain teachers phenoms and the rest of us just average. So I try not to lean on that. But I really try to be relentless. I literally tell my kids, y'all ain't gonna meet nobody like me. You're just not. Like, I got the energy for days to make sure that I'm going to fight to have you believe in yourself. I'm going to fight to make sure that you understand that you can do the math. I'm going to fight to make sure that y'all stop cheating and copying each other's stuff and believe that you can actually do it yourself. And so I realize that's me, but when you stand in front of a student and they feel that, what they call me and tell me at the end of the year, that tough love, like they realize you care, Mr. O'Neil, and you care because you make sure when I don't understand, you're like, come see me later. And it's not an option because you sat in class and you did not digest this. And what's going to happen? You're going to believe that you can't do this. And I know you can. So you just need to spend this little extra time with me. And so for me, I'm always setting the example, setting the example to parents. The kids go home and they say stuff about me, and they know that, first of all, I didn't know how much kids talked about me until the parents come in an open house and say, Mr. O'Neil, my child keeps talking about how they love your class. And I'm just like, I can't tell some days, but they're going home, they're saying stuff to their parents about that. What does that do to the parents? That the parents realize that teacher really cares about my child, and that's what a parent want, a teacher that really cares. And so when we run into issues, they're prone to have my back because they know that Mr. O'Neil is doing above and beyond to make sure my child learns. And so those roadblocks are, first, I'll just keep going until I can't go anymore. And I'm not trying to be a martyr in anything, but I'm just convinced that I can convince you that you can do this. And if I can't, then I've run into some kids where I can't. It's far and few in between because everybody wants to feel successful. Like, everybody wants to feel like I can. And there's no other feeling sitting in the class and just being like, he just taught that, I get that, I can do that, and I can share that. Like, who wants to be in a class realizing that I don't ever feel like I can? So that's just my mentality. When I come to Roblox, I do what I can because I know you can do
Come on, Mr. O'Neal.
it.
Come on, Mr. O'Neal. Hey, yo, but that's a beautiful feeling, though. I was just sharing with Gandy the other day, just having those students, like for me, and you got more years in it than I do, but just having kids to come back and just like, yo, I appreciate you. Or just like, yo, I only want to speak to him because he knows he has that history with me. And you are able to see and just reach them and be able to get them to a point where not necessarily they have to depend on you, but they are able to learn what you have given them and be able to apply that. And that is so beautiful for me, which leads me to this question. Many people, many educators, they have the mindset that it's not about the income, it's about the outcome. For me, I think that is some type of exploitative empathy. However, that's me as a professional educator. And I was wondering if you can just shine light on that. What is your perspective on that? How does that show up within Mastery for All?
So, first of all, I am learning and I'm still new to the whole business thing, but there's money out there and there is lots of it out there. It is about the outcome. Okay. But it takes the income to have a great outcome. And so, what I am transitioning my mind out of, because it's how I've been for years now, is realizing that we have been conditioned to believe that there is no money in education. Okay. That's what we've been conditioned to believe. And that teachers teach because of the outcome, which is very true. But no one should do all the work that we do and not be compensated
Right.
for.
Say it again. Say it again for the ones that just tuned in and you're like, well, I don't like that question. Say it again. Let's give them like a few seconds. Okay, now say it again.
No one should do all the work that we do and not be compensated for it.
Yes,
Period.
sir.
Period,
We
fam.
work our behinds off. And it don't matter what field you're in, there's always going to be somebody that's slacking. There's always going to be somebody that's doing half the thing. But I don't meet that too many teachers like that. I meet teachers that are taking papers home, that are grading stuff. I meet teachers that are using their planning to do stuff. I meet teachers that are literally doing field trips and coaching and meeting kids. And we do too much work to not be compensated for. And it's funny because Mike, you and I went to NC State, and there used to be a joke about our hall. Our call was called Poe Hall. That was the education. And it was like, because it was Poe Hall, because we're going to be Poe doing this work. And so there is this narrative that we're supposed to be poor doing this work, but I just don't believe it anymore. And I know it to be the case because I'm now connecting to people that are literally making money, making the impact.
And that is the way to freedom, bro. Like literally, I did a presentation today, and shout out to my mentor, Dr. Erica Jordan Thomas, who put me on this. And I did a presentation today, and one of the members in the audience like, "Hey, can you send me them slides?" I'm saying, "Oh no, baby, but you can definitely take some copious notes,
copious, brother, copious notes,
and you can take them notes, and you can ask me all the questions you shall want. However, you will not be able to take my slides." And as we go back to talking about that intellectual property, and for me, it was just like, when I entered education, I immediately, you know how like at the beginning of the year, they're like, oh, you don't want him, or you don't want this child, or you don't want this particular person. And it was just like, that's how I came into education. They were like, oh, you need to stay away from this person, stay away from this teacher because she's negative or this. And I was just like, let me connect myself with people who remind me of me. And so how can I do that in a strategic way? And I found the importance of just surrounding yourself with educators and mentors that speak your language. And when I learned that from her, I was just like, yo, fam, that's real. Because you got those educators who work they are creative, innovative, come up with some most creative things, and their principal is only making that bonus because of the teacher. And then you got some educators that will literally ride off of your teacher pay teacher account and your lesson plans, and all they're doing is changing the date. But for me, I learned that I'm very creative, and you're going to pay me for my creativity.
Yes, sir.
And that's point blank, period. So, going to go ahead with the next question, bro.
Yeah, so we actually want to revisit. Mike kind of talked on it. There are not many Black male educators in the school system, and one of the things that we really wanted to touch on was how you've navigated that. How do you show up in this space? How do you continue to manage without, if you step foot or you volunteer for something and not being tokenized in certain situations? Like, can you speak on that experience from your multiple years that you've been doing this?
Yeah, it's funny with that tokenized. I did not honestly know about that phrase until maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. And I heard someone talking and I was just like, what do you mean by that? Explain that. And they expounded on it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I've definitely been the token before. And I felt like to some degree, I thought it was an honor at the time until they really let me know what it meant. And so being the token as the representative, stepping into a space at times and feeling like you have to perform or be something for other people. And so like I said earlier, like I've always stepped into an atmosphere where I've been the minority, sometimes the only. My best friend Chester, when I went up into higher like AP courses or honors courses, there were times he's like, I'm not doing all that. So he was just like, come on, man, I'm gonna be the only black, like the only black person there.
I'm
not
Chester.
doing it, James. I'm just not doing it. And so I was
Definitely.
like, there are times I'm left alone. And so quick story, I taught in Pittsburgh for 8 years. And the school district I was at is different in up north when there's a union. I'm not going to talk about that, but their districts are based upon their boroughs or based upon like the area. So here in Charlotte, there might be South Charlotte will be a school district, and then the Ballantyne will be a school district, and then Huntersville, which is all in the same county, will be their own school district. So I was literally in a school district that had one high school, which is about 3,000 students, one middle school, and I think 3 elementary schools. And in the entire district, I was the only Black male teacher in the entire district. And so I remember one day, because first of all, the whole token and being Black, CP time and all this stuff. So I always felt like I got to be on time because I don't want them looking at me, be like, we know why you late, like literally in the back of my mind, telling myself, showing up. So one day I showed up late for a meeting. We had a faculty meeting in the morning, and I walked into the cafeteria, and this was the first time I was like, everybody in here is white but me. I just got so used to being the only, and that one time I was like, goodness, like parents, because it was a district that was 50% Black, 50% white. Parents used to come in, and somebody's grandma would come in and be like, man, we didn't even know you was here. And I used to hear that all the time in open house. We didn't know you was here. How long you been here? And this would be 3 or 4 years in. But I understood because they never had a Black male teacher, knowing that I was the only Black male teacher that some of my kids have ever had and will ever have not allowed me to show up and be like, I got to represent. So I took on this attitude that I'm going to be Black excellence no matter where I go. And that came from it as a child. Like, I don't know where that came from, but it was just innate in me. I just want us to do well. I want us to show up well. I want us to have just as much as everybody else's have. And I just felt like I had to represent for us. That's gotten better because I now know that it's not always healthy, and I don't have to be the token of all Black people. And I hate this now expression. I used to take it with pride back in the day. Well, you not like the rest of them. First of all, you don't know that meaning to even recognize. Like, how many Black people you know?
Now
like,
you don't know that many.
let's start there. Okay, the rest of them. Who do you personally know other than me? Okay, let's just really start there, because I have a whole bunch of people like me, because I'm surrounded by people like me, because that's in my community. But anyway, that's what I feel about that, man.
You know, I can relate to that, James. And you know, going back to that 2%, man, we rare around here,
Yeah,
and
we
so
are.
with that being said, you know, can you, if it's not as much as you feel comfortable, let's talk about the emotional toll that being the only black male in the building. Like, what was that like for you? I know, like, the parents, they were like, "Oh, we didn't know you existed," in a sense. But let's talk about the emotional toll. And from my understanding, you were still able to maintain your high performance as an educator. If you're up to it, do you mind sharing, like, what was that like for you being the only black male in the building
Yeah,
and
I
your
can do that.
relationship with the kids? Because you know, having that experience as well, you know, for me, I struggled at first because I was just like, look, am I don't consider myself too black, but I'm black and I'm brown. And so, and what you see is what you get, type of thing. But you know, I had to adjust and the kids had to adjust to me. But you know, I ended up becoming their favorite teacher and now their favorite counselor. But you mind sharing your experience and perspective?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. So the district where I was at for 7 years, I was the only black male, but I was surrounded by other black students. And so it was 50-50. And so the black students, of course, we navigate towards our likeness. And if you see a black person, a black male, and you haven't seen a black male, then the black students are just going to be like, hey, 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 like there is a commonality there. And so navigating that space was easier, even though my staff didn't necessarily look like me or relate to me. It was the fact that I was in a community that was still, they understood blackness. They were aware of that, and it didn't feel a certain way. But I ended up leaving that school district and going to a school district that was 97% white. Now, bro, now, bro, let me tell you what I know. I did not know that I didn't know this phrase. So I learned about tokenism, and then I learned about internalized racism. I did not know that I had internalized this notion that I was less than. So to give you a quick synopsis, I came in and for an interview. Somebody told me that they were looking to diversify their district, which I mean, y'all 97% white, you ain't got no black people at all, right? Um, so y'all need to diversify, right? And so they found me another teacher, was married to one of the teachers that taught in the school district and recognized and recommended me for the job. I went for the interview, and because I'm in Pittsburgh, where it's highly competitive to get into that space, there were 40 other people that interviewed for that job before I got to that job. And so when I met the principal and he met me, and I ended up teaching this lesson, and Mike and Josh, I killed that lesson. I mean, straight up murdered the lesson. The principal was like, "We want you." And so I was like, "Okay, cool." And I went into that space and realized that I thought I was going into that white space to learn. Ooh, I can't wait to see how they do it here. They got $100 million school building and they have all this access to this stuff. And I cannot wait to learn from the white people, not realizing that they were there, that I was there so they can learn from me. And I was like, dang, I didn't know that I'm the person, like we say, with the juice. I didn't realize that. Like, I didn't know that. I felt like because they were white and they had access and they had means, that they were better. And what I realized is that teaching in the district where I had to be, like you said, creative, it made me better. Teaching kids that did not always sit down, when you say sit down, that may be up and may have some words for you after you say something, and I got words back for you that will encourage you to do as I say, it made me better. And so I realized navigating in that space that I am not an imposter, that I earned my right there. And I'm good because I'm good, and it's not has nothing to do with my color of my skin. It has nothing to do with their color of their skin. I'm a great teacher because I want to be a great teacher. And so I really spoke I really started to deal with the fact that I had to understand that I was there because I earned my right to be there. And navigating in white spaces, I really had to understand that I don't have to be anybody else other than the great teacher that I've been the entire time. And if I'm there to learn, I'm there to learn, but that doesn't mean that I have to detract from who I am. People can just learn as much as from me than I can from them. And so navigating those spaces has been, yeah, it's gotten easier now because I know who I am more so than who I thought I knew when I first started navigating those spaces.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. I appreciate that. That particular sentiment, as your perspective has helped develop who you are and how you see your blackness, but also understand that you the shit, bro. Excuse me, Pastor, but like, yo,
It's facts.
you got it. And because believe it or not, I work in a similar district, and yeah, I won't touch out the 6 foot pole. I would not. I'm not going there. I'm not even. You can ask for me. You can send for me. I'm not going there. But not everyone gets that opportunity, even if you are an individual who have receipts, who brings values to the spaces. And it goes to show who you are and what you are going to do and the lives you're going to continue to impact. And so I wonder if you can share with us a little bit more about why is it important for us to develop a model? Why is it important for us to develop a model that, empowers 6 through 12 math educators to examine their mindsets, but also incorporate equitable approaches to instruction in order to shift the classroom? And I got that particular question from your framework. And I wonder if you can speak a little bit about that, because I know the work that you do is very powerful, especially with a lot of schools focusing on ELA or reading and writing, and also mathematics. So I wonder if you can speak more about that, and hopefully that particular answer would turn into an opportunity for a lead that would turn into a client for you.
We love our leads, brother, and we love our clients. Come on through. So that model is, like you said, it comes from my aha moment. My aha moment was that I've had success in the classroom because I've just believed students can do it. And I realize as I travel and I facilitate for different nonprofits, and even do the work that I do on my own, I realized not everybody has that belief. And so that is, to me, foundational. Um, you can have all the knowledge in the world and not be able to share that with other people in a way that they want to get it. And so that's what teachers do. We are the content expert in the room, and maybe we're still learning our content if we're still new. That's great and that's wonderful. At the end of the day, your foundation should be your belief in your students. And from that belief, examine that belief, it's going to lead to equitable instruction because, first of all, the foundation is clear that you believe your students can. And so that is my mindset. When they are showing me based on formative assessments, when they are showing me based on the last test that they took, that they did not get it, I know they can. What do I need to do? And what do I need to convince them that they need to do? Because when we talk about examining biases, and I talk about from a teacher's standpoint, but I also talk about from the student, because we literally, I had a teacher next door to me. Her name is Miss SR. She's an amazing teacher. I look up to her. She was the one of the runner-ups from Teacher of the Year. But she said that we forget that those students are just little humans, and that little human has a story. And so that little human is not showing up to your classroom just believing out of the blue, I can't do math. I don't like math. I don't like school. No, they have a history of not being successful. And so you have to unpack that for that kid and realize that you need to know that they don't believe because they have receipts, they have evidence from times past. And so I understand that examining the biases is just not my bias, but it's also their bias to this content. and letting them know that you can change that. And I'm here to support you as far as changing that. And so when I think about the framework that I'm building out and the framework that I'm presenting, that's the foundation. And it does bring about the equitable instruction as we again teach teachers how to teach math, because y'all, it's not there is a way to teach it, to make connections. And like there's any great people in any industry, there are great teachers and there are teachers that are on their way to being great, and there are some that just pretty much just suck and just don't know that they and the kids will let you know. And it's funny, I'm in with this kids. I'm listen. Kids will let you know if you can't teach. Like they'll come to me and like they can't teach, Mr. O'Neal. Like I don't know
Yes.
what she talking about. Like, and they'll be honest with you. And so I want us to all to be great content instructors at the end of the day as well.
Yes. Hey, that's what's up, man. Go ahead, Gandhi.
Yeah, I was just gonna just say, like, everything that you're talking on, it gets me excited because it's something that looking outside of it from an education background, but somebody who's a little further along. Mike tells me all the time, we all had teachers at some point, and everything that we do starts with a teacher. And I'm thinking about, everything that's going on in the world. I'm thinking about it from a corporate standpoint on how literally, if we're not impacting and making these changes and making pushes and driving folks to have more of an equitable education earlier on, how much is going to have an impact on, I'm in a field where we're talking about analytics, AI, and models and biases that are going to continue to just compound and be skewed because of what folks are experiencing. So my question to you, and we kind of talked on it a little earlier, this model that you are implementing, when you are running into the teachers, the students, or not the teachers or the students, but the teachers and the family members who aren't getting behind this, what are you doing to show like this framework has to be implemented, or like this is the long-term effect that it's going to have on your child? Like, walk us through that process, because I think that's extremely important, especially when we think about the direction that things are going in today's world.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So I'm a little biased in this. Math to me, not to me, math has been proven to be the gateway subject.
Mm-hmm.
It is the subject where it has been proven statistically that you can track how well people do in life based on how well they did in math. It has been proven to be that people that do better in math make more money. And so there's data to back that. And the reason why there's data to back that is because here's the deal, y'all. And this is stuff that we don't think about. And it's because as a math teacher, this is what I do. And so to talk about the ripple effect, I teach middle school math, right? So middle school math, math is the only content where we start to push down higher level classes. You don't see an ELA. You don't see a ninth grade ELA being pushed down. You don't see science or physics and all this other stuff being pushed down from the high school to the middle school. So math, if you're a great math student or you have great foundational math skills, you get to start to get a leg start when it comes to higher ed. So you're in 8th grade taking a 9th grade course, and sometimes students double up and they take a 10th grade course. So what does that do when you become a freshman next year? You only need 4 maths. You have 2 already done. So what happens is that you spend your freshman year, some freshmen take up their 4 maths in their freshman year because they take their math 3 or their math 4, and they're technically done with the high school credit maths. What is that now freeing you to do? Take college courses. What is that doing? That's allowing you to take them for free. What is that giving you? Hours towards when you go to college. What is that doing? Those 17, 18-hour semesters you don't have to take because you're going in with credited hours. And so what happens is that you start to get a leg up, and your money, because you're not spending money on classes that you already spent money on that was for free in high school. And so what happens is that generationally, the same type of people continue to get the same head start, and they continue to bank on the fact that they don't have to pay for this. They took it earlier. They don't have to do those hours. What does that free you up, y'all? For internships, for all these other opportunities that you can now have because you already come prepared and with hours already banked. And so when I think about math, when I think about the future, when I think about generationally what it is doing for people, it is allowing people. That's why it feels like it's the elite subject. That's why it feels that way, because in our country, it has been systemized to be like the people that can do this, you're going to get a head start, and the people that can't, you're going to be further behind. I don't know. I've got lost in your question because I got caught up in this. But at the end of the day, like generationally, we have to push for this. And that's why math instruction is important. And that's why I'm passionate about getting in front of people that look like me, to remind them, hey, y'all, you're a gatekeeper. I want the gates open up for us. I want us to have the same access, the same amount, the same ability to do what you all have been doing for years and getting ahead while we're still playing catch up.
I received that, man. God knows.
I did too.
God knows. Yes, sir. But yes. Ooh, okay. And on that note, y'all book him, okay? You know, as we begin to wrap up, man, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. Where do you see Mastery for All in like the next 5 years? What are some of your goals?
So I know I'm a one-man team, and I realize, from our wonderful mentor that if you're going to make an impact, you got to have a team. You have to have a team. And so I know in the next 5 years, I'm going to have an amazing team of people around me that believe what I believe and is able to not just allow me to be the voice in front of people, because right now I'm doing everything myself, keynote consulting, all that good stuff. That Mastery for All will be a brand, will be an organization that partners like ASEA Unbound Ed, who I contract for, that goes after anti-racist instruction and just make sure that teachers are getting that. And so I see Mastery for All as an extension, first of all, of my AHA story, and really building a team and a brand around me to change the mindset of teachers. Not starting with math instruction, because I know how powerful that is, but also just teachers in general. And so I see myself scaling that. Again, I know by glimpsing other people and what they're doing in their businesses and how they're doing their businesses. I see conferences as well happening. I see me partnering with school districts, just the organization that I'm doing, partnering with school districts to make sure that Mastery for All happens. And I don't see myself as the token. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought that was good, y'all. Seriously, I really thought that was good. It makes you feel good, like you can do something. But if I'm the only person, then I got to do all the work, and there's only so much I can do. So I see team, brother. I see definitely expansion, and I see partnership. I've been told by some friends, like even I think it's Bill Gates, somebody's putting billions of dollars into math instruction because of the math scores of the country suck right now. And if I can find like people, they are horrible.
Oh,
they are bad.
They are horrible.
Yep.
Right. And I know they don't have to be that horrible. And so, like, I literally see myself partnering with these organizations to make sure that our kids do learn the math, man. And it's y'all like, I'm about to get in my feelings, but it's like,
it's that's insane, man. Like, man, come on. We know, we know this. We know, because this is our everyday life, and we end this to make a difference, and we're not in this for for the show and for the fame that comes with it oftentimes. And so I hear you, man, and we know the root issue. God knows, and we know the root issue. We know how to make some of these things work. We know it's lack of accountability, it's lack of professional development, it's lack of you got people who can't yeah. Finish, brother.
See, I triggered you.
Finish,
Nah,
brother.
bro. That's I'm pretty much that's pretty
Woo.
much done. That's why I see Mastery for All really, really making an impact, and it's not surrounded by me. I may be a person that has started this organization, this LLC right now that will build out to an organization, build out to a company. I may be the person that started it, but I know that there are other Jameses around the world that had a Mrs. Simmons who honestly touched and changed my life, that are passionate about getting in front of teachers who teach students that look like me, or just teach students that don't look like themselves, and empower them to do what every other race, especially our Asian and our white races, when it comes to math, that we are able to do. If I'll just say this last thing, as at a school where I teach, I'm a part of a very diverse school. There is a different expectation for Asian students than there is for any other race of students when it comes to math and science. And that expectation is embedded in their culture and their belief system. So, for instance, when I get an Asian student in my class, and specifically Indian, when I get an Indian student in my class and they're in my Math 1, which is a high school level class, I know there's only amount of time that they're going to request for a placement test to get into Math 1-2. Why Math 1-2? Because it's the highest level math class, and the expectation for their family, the expectation for their culture is that they should be in the highest math class around. Now, when I see some white kids in my class, that's not always the expectation, but for them and their culture, it is. And so I know I'm gonna have that child in my class for 3 to 4 days before they take that placement test and leave my class. That's what I want the expectation to be for all our students. If you're in this school, then you can do this work. And I know that's a long ways to go, but I believe I can make an impact to make sure that we stop having certain expectations for certain students and really believe that mastery for all kids can master the work.
Yes, yes. I love it, man. God.
Yes, sir.
Yo, that's real, bro. And so, as you are out here doing this wonderful, great work in the field of education, you're out here speaking, you're out here being featured as keynote. You're just doing great things within our field. How can other people book you? Also, how can other people watch some of your speaking engagements that you've participated in? And how can people get plugged into the work that you do?
Yep. Yeah, so pretty much I'm on all social media networks, whether it be Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, at mrjamesoneil.com. Well, Mr. James O'Neill. And so it may be a dot for Facebook, and Instagram is at Mr. James O'Neill, and LinkedIn and Twitter is at Mr. James O'Neill. O'Neill is Oneal, because my name is spelled wrong all the time. But definitely you can find information for me there. My website is mrjamesoneil.com, where you can find my videos, my keynotes, things I've done. One of the things I do believe in is student voice. So you'll see students' testimonials talking about their growth from being in my class and being impacted by the framework that I'm building out. And so you can always contact me there. My email address, everything is pretty much online on my website. So you can visit me there and see even some of the keynotes and the topics that I present.
And there you have it, folks. So James, what would be something that you like, one of your takeaways, your words of wisdom to our audience, and even the people that's going to be beginning to start listening to us because of the wonderful information that you shared on our platform? What's the food for thought?
My food for thought today is the space that I'm currently occupying right now. It is to believe in your story. Like, you have that story for a reason, and you have to believe that it's not by coincidence. Like, you were given this story. And so with that story, use it to fuel your life. Use it to fuel your dreams. Use it to pay for your dreams. Use it to accomplish your dreams, because it's not a coincidence that you have that story. and don't run away from it. Lean into it. Try your best to understand the parts of it you can, and give yourself grace for the parts that you don't understand. But believe in your story and the power it has to reach and change other people's lives. And I'm starting to believe that now because of what people are coming to me and saying to me after I share my story. And I'm like, yeah, James, yeah, that's why you went through what you went through. That's why you have the passion for what you have. And that is the reason why you're pushing the way you're pushing, because of your story.
We love it, man. We love it. And, yo, again, James, thank you so much for being part of our show today and just coming up here and just schooling us and our listeners and just allowing us into your life and being able to gain a better understanding on math education, but most importantly, how we as educators have to do a better job and also just improve, because some of us we are doing what you're saying, but sometimes just improving our practices on how to continue to enhance equitable instruction for Black students, but particularly Black male students. So again, thank you so much for being part of the Power of a Growth Mindset. This is home for you. So anytime, and you're welcome to our show. But
Yes, sir.
again, at the end of the day, we can do whatever we want to. But in education, I believe I am because you are, therefore I am. But it all starts with you.